Welcome back to the Abundant Harvest Homestead. Seasons are changing here right now. It's a little sunny where I'm standing, but the ground is covered in leaf litter. Raised beds are getting tucked in for the winter. This one I plucked everything clean, gave it a fresh layer of topsoil here too. Got it ready to go. And a lot of things are not doing so well right now. It's the time for them to kind of complete this part of their life and go dormant and wait for next year. I'm hoping that the squash has enough left in it to produce the seeds. I wasn't going to eat that one anyway. I was going to save it for seed, but you can see the whole plant is wilted back. The fig trees right now, they still look nice on the inside where they didn't get any of the frost, but the stuff on the outside, they're done for the year. And I've already worked my way through a lot of the peppers, a lot of the tomatoes, and other ones we had growing. It's just, they're done for the year. And then there's others that are unfazed right now. This is an older blue curly Scotch kale, and seedlings are popping up and thriving right now. They don't care about this weather. They don't care about temperatures like this. So far, some of the catnip, the horseradish, and of course the cacti doesn't change much through the year other than maybe flowering and fruiting. It'll look like that all year round. But right now it is this massive wall of green behind me that I want to talk to you about. This, look at this, we just picked this. Like last week I made a pint jar of dehydrated Goji berries. These are the Korean Goji berries here. And yes, it's this giant wall behind me. You should have seen how long it took me to pick this. I went at it hard for a bit and got everything that made sense to get. But right now, not only do I love it, but the honeybees love it too because it's still flowering. All these wonderful red berries come from these beautiful purple flowers. This one's having some trouble focusing, and there's actually a bee in there, but it's not a honeybee. But it's still flowering, so it's still producing. If you look here, see how many little green guys there are there? All those little green guys that aren't the leaves are berries to be. They're not fully ripe yet, but they're in the development process, and then these ripe ones are ready to be eaten. The fruit itself looks like oversized Tic Tacs. Just look at how thick that comes in. Just one little section there, but so many. So this has already been subjected to a couple frosts. It is still absolutely thriving. And like I said, to still be putting out flowers as well. is so cool because there's not a lot of flowers available in our zone or region this time of year. I also have another variety behind me here. This is the Chinese Goji Berry. So that was the Korean one I showed you first. This one's the Chinese one. It has a slightly rounder berry, but very similar. I enjoy them fresh, but they get sweeter when they are dehydrated or dried. So a lot of people will buy them that way. They'll get them at the health food store or something like that, just a bunch of them dried. Nice to be able to have them at our own homestead, in our own garden. And these ones also, I just picked this clean with some of my little ones like last week. If you can see here, just so many red berries everywhere across here. And I've been working up here today, so some of these are picked clean because I've been eating them as I work. What happens is if I don't suppress an area, it grows up like wild. That's what's happened here. This is supposed to be part of my garden. I just never progressed with it. So now where this unimproved section butts up against where I'm growing, it's gonna invade my garden, and it's in that process right now. So what I'm gonna do is use my sheep to suppress all of this. I'm actually fencing off a whole area, gonna have it come up and around here, and then eventually I'm gonna run the sheep in pastures around my entire property. All I gotta do is get a connector from right over there to right behind me here. And once that connector is there, I'll be able to rotate them all the way around the outside of the property. People are walking by right now, so you can hear the dogs going off. But it's just part of, if I got a wall of animals kind of at the outer part of my property, it keeps things like this safer. You know, a deer is less likely to jump in here if there's a bunch of sheep running around than if I just had this open garden waiting for them just a fence away. Here's another good example. If you notice this aronia, all these sticks here, it's got what, 4 leaves left on the top of it, but it's ready to bud out in the spring. It's tucked in for the winter. It's had its frost, it gave up. And then over here, this is a pepper plant we grew from an experiment. Those I was actually still covering. There's a tarp right behind them, but this one all wilted, all ready to give up. Some actually reached maturity, turned this beautiful chocolate color, so that's awesome. That's awesome. But, you know, look at this foliage here compared to this here. One cool thing about this one too is this is actively growing right now. This here is like a fresh shoot. This here is a fresh shoot. Here, 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 here. Those are all tips that are still actively growing for this growing season. And these guys can be a little tedious to pick because there's so many and they're so small. But I like to snack on them when I'm out here in the garden. And even last time, I just took care of all the taller stuff, the higher stuff, and had the kids pick lower. We picked a big old bowl full. It was rather impressive. Can you see that up by my hand? Watch this. Oh. So that was just one 6-inch section, and I accidentally got a leaf doing that one-handed, whoops, and dropped a berry. But you know, all those came off of one 6-inch section, even one-handed. That's how long it took me to pick that, so that was not too bad. I'm gonna eat these too. If eating these fresh is an acquired taste, I've acquired it. I will say that, but to me, it's almost mid-November. We're in zone 6B7A, and at the moment, I have fresh berries in my garden. And some people even use the young leaves for tea or eating them raw in salads, I guess, too. Do your own research always before checking stuff out. I've had a couple of these. And I want to learn all the different functions of each plant. You know, what are they good for medicinally? What vitamins do they have? How can you eat them fresh? How can you cook them if you can cook them? What can you use them in? How can you preserve them? In this case, we just dehydrate these. And then what parts of the, you know, plant are useful? Is there any medicinal uses? I want to just completely saturate myself with, really get to know each of the plants on our property, in our garden, on our homestead. And with these guys, like I said, to have fresh berries this time of year, absolutely wonderful. They'll, you know, die back eventually, but right now it's mid-November and I think that's awesome. I don't know how much longer they're going to last this year, but like I said, to have a plant like that, look like that after multiple frosts and freezing nights, I'm definitely blessed by having it in my garden, both the Korean version and the Chinese version. We do have them listed in our Etsy shop right now, seeds for them, and they can go rather quickly, but as long as we still got them, we'll keep saving seeds and keep offering them up too. So keep that in mind if you're interested. I would vouch for the plants, and I did give it a fence, a trellis there, some T-posts with a thing of rebar coming over the top, and a fence across it, and then some wire around just to kind of train it up like that. Otherwise it'd be sprawling across the ground. Same thing with the other one. It's on a fence line. You know, I made a short little section of fence for it and let it grow up that, so it's got that support to keep it up. And a lot of the stuff here that sprawls out of the bottom, I'll weave back and through as it gets longer, because this can grow at least 10 or 12 feet. You know, one thing can shoot out. But I'll give you one last look at it after our little closer. Goji berries, I like them even after the frost. I'll see you later. Papa out.